Welcome, Dr. Gary Wohlman. I'm so excited that you are here with me today.
I'm so
Uh,
excited to be with you here today, Gabriella.
we have now met through multiple sessions. We had many conversations, and I'm very happy that today you can share a little bit more about you and what is it that you do. We just did a previous recording where we went through kind of a session and looking at future past and I have watched many of your videos with different kind of modalities that you use to help people engage with other people in this world and bring out their inner wisdom and kind of in an essence of how to be presenting themselves in the world. But I would like to know about you. Tell us who you are in your world, like how you want to be present and being seen in the world.
Wonderful. You said it so well, being an avid storyteller and writer and painter and communicator and artist yourself, that indeed you have honed in on my deepest desire at this stage of my life. I'll be 73 in a month, and I have kept myself young throughout my life by being as physical as possible. This has always been the spearhead that's driven me to do what I love to do at this stage of my life in particular, since I am in partnership with myself and everyone I come in contact with. I don't have a physical partner or lover or even one single person that's this is my bestie or this is the person I'm spending the rest of my life with. I've reached a stage here living off grid in a permaculture community 550 meters at the top of the mountain, 2 hours from the nearest town, totally off grid, speaking with you from this lovely setting that looks like a stage. It's actually my caravan. That's a classic caravan. I have reached a renewed relationship with aloneness and all oneness, which spell nearly the same thing, all oneness and aloneness. So my relationship to nurturing myself, inspiring myself, and empowering myself and everyone else and every creature I come across at all moments of every day has given me a feeling of fulfillment and fulfillment. I love acrobatics. I do them with words these days as my body is not able to do the same things physically. I do that with words, playing with words in a way that acrobatically brings people, including myself, to places we've never been before. A song came through me in a dream when I was in Thailand about 4 years ago. I was there at a detox and healing center in the island of Koh Phangan Island near Koh Samui in Thailand, just before the COVID, whatever you want to call it, struck on the 20th of March when I flew back home to where I've been living in Australia. And this song that I woke up with in the morning was such a powerful message. It's a simple little song. I'm going to sing it that then gives you a sense to answer that question of what it is that drives me, what it is that I'm most passionate about, that gives me that sense of fulfilling my purpose and assisting others to do the same. This sense of into me see, into you see, into we see, a renewed relationship with intimacy in this life. At age 73, it's no longer so much a burning desire to physically have sex or make love in a physical sense with people. And we're doing this online connection. It gives me a chance to make love with all of life. And that feeling that I don't necessarily have to enter someone else's energy in a physical sense when I can do that through multiple senses simultaneously, multidimensionally. And this thrills me. It gives me a great sense of completing and fulfilling my purpose here, this moment, all the time in the world. The dream that I came up with, which was a simple little song, was Yes, we are awakening. Yes, we are remembering. Fresh stories, new glories, we dance and sing. Yes, we are remembering. Yes, we are awakening. Start off with that, Gabriella.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you for sharing that song with us. That was beautiful. And I just love how you use your hands and your whole body also to kind of show a story, which reminds me of a question I wanted to ask you. Like, I know that you've been doing different performances throughout your life. Would you share a story about like one of your favorite performances? Set the stage for us so we can see it. Where were you? What were you doing?
My favorite poem that I have shared hundreds of times to audiences all over the world was given to me. It's not my own creation. When I was in my mid 20s, I had just come back, like Dorothy from in The Wizard of Oz, come back to Kansas, which was actually dreaming the whole thing up. I had spent a number of years in my early 20s in San Francisco where I broke free of the traps of my tradition. And I felt a need when I was having all this creativity come pouring out through me, storytelling and writing and painting and singing and opening up this performance art persona that was all buried within me at that time, where I had the sense in San Francisco where I was living that, oh my goodness, if this is what's happening with me, if I have these beautiful burgeoning of emergings of creativity, and that had to come through releasing the physical layers of tension, the emotional layers that keeps them in place, and then out comes this vast creativity. I'll bet we're all buried with our own landscapes. And that's when I decided, without having the words back then, that I'm going to be in this life, dedicating this life to being an archaeologist of the soul, to create pathways, to begin to help people navigate through the unknown as I have in my own life, and freeing these layers, physical, emotional, creative, so we can all tap into our greatest wisdom. To answer your question then specifically, when I moved back to New York at that time, I had a great desire to transform people's lives through creativity. That was my deep desire. It didn't exactly happen that way. When I moved back to New York, I became a copywriter in the advertising world, and I thought I could transform lives through the advertising media. Not true. I wrote some cool songs and plays, but it didn't tap me into the same creative wisdom that I shared years later, a few years later, when I came out as a court jester. Yet one day, when I was there in New York, and I was about 25 at the time, I received a letter in the mail. And the letter in the mail was this poem I'm about to share. That was a poem that I've shared hundreds of times since. I've read this poem. Oh my God. It was from a dear friend who, his name was Richard, that I knew from in San Francisco, from living in San Francisco. We both were working at a psychiatric hospital, Pacific Presbyterian, near Golden Gate Park, near the panhandle of Golden Gate Park. And we have both participated in shock therapies and administering these awful like treatment. And I remember I was listening to the stories of some of the patients, and I was actually fired. They said, you're supporting their psychosis by listening to their stories. And I wasn't supporting their psychosis. I knew what I was doing. They would talk about a drawbridge that was stuck with their jaws all locked, their drawbridge. And I could see the metaphors and I could speak with them and help them connect with their own humanity, not fit into, you have to do it this way in order to get through this psychiatric ward. We were both fired from that institution. And so I went back to New York at one stage when I was a little bit older, living in San Francisco for a few years. And so I received this poem, and the poem was called Where Have I Known You Before? And I read the verses of this poem by Neville Potter. and it was dedicated to Alan Watts in 1974, right around the time that I received this poem. Oh, excuse me. No, it's dedicated to Chick Corea, another singer, a beautiful mentor and storyteller and musician. That's right. And I saw the verses of this poem, Where have I known you before? And each of the verses of this poem began with, Where have I known you before? Where have I loved you before? Where have I hurt you before? Where have I lost you before? And now where have I found you again? And I've shared this poem, I share it with you now, with multiple audiences all over the world, and it's been my favorite compelling telling. It's touched
I, th-
more lives
I
than I
think I
can tell.
heard it once before, and I'm excited to hear it again.
Did I share it with you in one of our sharing? Or you saw it on
I
my
think the first time when we spoke, I think you shared this
oh,
poem with me.
is this a good time to share it? Or because
Oh
I don't
yeah,
have.
no, it's
Oh,
wonderful. I'm excited to hear it again.
okay. Well, one of the principles I teach when I'm as a presentation coach, offering my coaching, my mentoring, my guidance, my consulting, my online therapy is it's always the first time. So even though I've shared this poem hundreds of times, it's always the first time. And I'll give you a little bit of a
Absolutely.
background for it as well, because it's not always gone over well. For
Hmm.
example, when I happened to show up at my high school's 40th reunion, we had a chance to stand up on stage and share something. And I shared this poem. And a few years later, I spoke with one of the people that was in my graduating class, and they said, we all laughed at you sharing that poem on stage because, there you were sharing something that, we just all felt like, we all like to make fun of everybody else and kind of, roast them. And frankly, we were deriding you and putting you down for sharing something like that. And at first I thought, oh God, I'm not going to share this poem again. But no, far from it, because there are audiences that love this poem. In fact, it reminded me, and the reason I'm sharing it with so many people, similar to my dedication to being an archaeologist of the soul, as I see myself freeing the physical, emotional, and creative layers through the psyche, is when I heard the verses of this song by reading it, it was a song originally, but I saw it as a poem, and it came to me as a printed page. I saw, oh, wait a minute. We're all knowing, loving, hurting, losing, and find each other again in this and other lifetimes. So I've dedicated this poem in audience. I love sharing it, particularly with large audiences, for people who come together for honoring someone who's just died or whose birthday it was or someone's anniversary, because we've all known, loved, hurt, lost, and found each other again. So it's in that light that I share this as it's always the first time. Are you ready?
I am ready and excited. Take it away.
Where have I known you before? Where did we play? Where did we play among galaxies bright, laughing, dancing, creating this night? Deciding the course to then venture on out. Love, you, space, and I, free from fear, free from doubt. Where have I loved you before? Was it just yesterday or millennia ago when I kissed, touched, and needed you so? Your face, your face, your face, your face. It's so different. Yet it's you, still you, still glowing and silvery bright, wonderfully, dancingly bright. I knew you the moment we entered this room, this infinite. eternal night. Where have I hurt you before? Where did I hurt you? So deep, so deep. Did you say you knew me not when only you could save me there and free me from that Pharaoh's keep, that tyrant's keep? Where did I lose you before? Where did I lose you? Was it when you gave your life to free that Pharaoh king? Or was it when our golden mothership took flight far apart from Saturn's wing? Well, that wasn't it. It was when we made the pact, remember? And then we floated on off to violet space, so sure that we'd meet on the other side. There was no other side. No such place. Oh, where have I known you before? Ah, the moment I saw you, I knew. I'd seen again the singer of 1,000 songs that haunted every dream. I'd seen the painter of the colors of my mind, reminding me of places that I'd been. I'm seeing clearer now. The truth unfolds. The past just drifts away. You're back again, my dearest friend. We never went away. We're back again, dearest friends. We never went away.
That was so beautiful, Gary.
Always the first
I
time. And
love it.
the tears, even now, after sharing this hundreds and hundreds of times all over the world, in large groups, online, one-to-one, with someone I just met that reminds me of someone that I've known, loved, hurt, lost, and found again. You can see, feel, experience just why I love sharing this. So
Yeah, it feels so personal, like that you talk, like you're really talking to that person. I think because we all have those feelings. We all have love lost, you know, hurt somebody that we didn't want to. Um,
it connects us all in the
mhm.
one web that connects all that is, past, present, and future. Sooner or later, we're going to know, love, hurt, lose, and find each other again. If not in this world, in other worlds and dimensions and levels of existence and being in this universe, in all universes. And that's why it calls to me to share this. I feel the sacred responsibility to share wisdom teachings. It's on my YouTube channel as well. It's when I speak with every human to help bring out that that is buried within, to free our sense of exquisite knowing that then liberates us all in this dance called life.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love the poem. So do you know who wrote this poem?
Yeah, it's Neville Potter,
Metal Power. Okay.
Nevillepotter. It was dedicated to Chick Corea. And I believe I was actually in the 50s when I was born, long time ago. And it was on one of his albums. You can actually look it up, Where Have I
Oh,
Known
I
You?
see.
And you can Google it and you can see it as a poem. It's so many years ago. And of course, I've enhanced it and I add improvisational movements and I've shifted and added and enhanced the words. So I've basically taken it in as my own, but I always like to honor the source. And he was the source of the original writing of that poem, that
So is
song.
this an actual, was this ever been sung? Is like a song
I,
or it's been a
yeah,
poem?
I believe it's a song on an album
Oh,
that you can look up, Google it.
it would be
Uh,
interesting to hear the actual song too, now
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you
yeah. It is.
shared the
It's more
poem.
of a rock song. It's a rock song, a rock and roll song. So it has a different quality of connection. It's a little more edgy, and I sing it I share it as a prayer, and I do it with the purpose of people are in an audience that never were together before, and the purpose is to bring people together, and
Yeah.
then it often starts and ignites and initiates an event. It's a great icebreaker, and then I'll get off stage and whether I'm there with my jester's hat on as a court jester or just as myself, because I don't have to wear the physical hat anymore, I still have that energy. Then whoever is the next sharer, the next speaker, the next presenter, then people are much more listening with louder ears. Their listening is more acute because I've just brought them together in a community of participatory engagement. That's the wisdom underneath the sharing of that song, that poem.
Absolutely. It is so beautiful. And you were just hitting some some points that I wanted to ask you about, your wisdom on building communities, which is my favorite topic, and kind of bringing people together. And we had some conversations recently about that, and you shared some wisdom. But I know you're an artist, writer, and as well, and you created paintings before, right? Correct, if I remember correctly. And I'm just curious if we look at through that lens, like a lens of what you just did, like as a performer, as an artist, as a writer, how you how you feel. Um, Maybe we can connect people even more in the future in a society that's so disconnected
Well,
currently.
it makes my day. Even just now, in sharing this with you today, I'm not always tear swept when I share that song. Yet when I slow down, being a presentation coach, I've been coaching myself this morning just now in sharing this with you. I knew that if I were to share this with you by slowing down, as I am now, I would be able to be more present in the exquisite connectivity that emerges in bringing together disparate elements that were never together before. When I was young, one of my favorite things to do when I was sitting there in my bedroom when I was 10 years old, before and after, and those early, and I would have this great passion. This is one of my favorite things to do. I remember taking a photo of this. I would take my Cowboys and Indians set, my Cape Canaveral, my petrol gas station, my animals, my airplanes. I'd hang the little airplanes from the ceiling. I'd put Cape Canaveral in with the Cowboys and Indian. I'd put together all these different elements that would never connect before.
Mhm.
And that was one of my favorite pictures. I'm remembering it now. I've remembered this in decades. And this ability, this vision, this habit, this repetitive, beautiful joy to bring together elements that may
Mhm.
be separate, that never got together before in personality, in my own personality, as well as in connecting people that are so different, has been one of the heraldings of my purpose in this life. Is I've developed this gift, this talent, this passion for putting together things that never would go together before in a form that is totally transformational. That suddenly all the people that would never even be talking to each other or even the same language would be able to do that through the body. we have this ability to use our verbal words, our vocal sounds, and our visual gestures to bring out this feeling that whenever we share something, even if we've done it 100 and thousands of times, as though it's always the first moment. And by doing this as a practice, as a constant, daily, moment to moment practice, I've been able to bring together different elements of a person's personality that have been fragmented and are not communicating. I encourage dialogue and an interaction between these facets. What color, what shape, what form, what taste, what smell, what sound, what texture. And if it were to have a voice, a wisdom voice, what would it say, this part to the other? I'm constantly doing this all the time with as many humans as I'm able to do this with. Because when that happens, it helps us tap into our own wisdom, our own ability to connect the dots, our own sense of, well, I feel separate from blah, 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 whether it's in my own consciousness, or I feel separate from someone that I used to love that I'll never see again, or I feel separate from my creativity. And by creating this dialogue of interconnectedness and interplay, there is a remembrance, an awakening, and a fueling of one's capacity to connect with our deepest wisdom, our deep-seated wisdom, our gut feelings, our foundation, our heart, and our higher mind all at once. That helps a person move along their life path, moving through the skids of their life as never before, to open the door, to remember what we've come here for. Fresh stories, new glories. We dance and sing. Yes, we are remembering. Yes, we are awakening.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. I think
So,
there's so much joy and understanding could be brought through performance and storytelling. And you have a very talented gift to tell a story or pull out a story of someone really cleverly. I see many of your videos doing this with people, and you've done it with me as well. And I greatly appreciate your gift, although it could be uncomfortable,
mhm.
but it's good to step out of that comfort zone.
It's interesting that last point. I want to piggyback on that last point. I know that it's uncomfortable for people to face the unknown and to confront what may feel threatening out of the fear of being rejected or not seen or outcast. I've gone through this myself in this life as well. I have felt like an outcast to many groups that I've attempted to fit in, or to because I have a big longing for belonging, to fit into other people's formulas, even my parents, to show up as fitting in the square box. Yet, because I have spent my life from the very first words I had in this life, when my mom said to me, "Come on, honey, let me show you how to walk." My first words in this life were, "No, no, self." I have dedicated my life from my very first sentence to helping people find our own sacred source, our own authenticity, to speak from our deepest core, to find our own pathway and to individuate. I have moved from New York to California, to Hawaii, to New Zealand, to Australia, to Bali, to Thailand over a 60-year period. I'll be 73 in a month. And by constantly moving into the unknown, I have become adept at helping people come out of their fixed, rigid, stubborn, stuck boxes, to unbox. You see often the information when we get a new telephone or a mobile phone or device. Unbox this before you use it. Unlock it before you use it. And that's what I've become a master in. Not because I wanted to, but because I had it to do. So now when people say, I don't want to be a writer, how do I do it? I set it in motion. I remember one day I was first visiting before I even, yeah, that's right. I was first visiting New Zealand, and the woman who had invited me there after giving her one of my transformational body therapy sessions in San Francisco, and she had this experience of standing up tall and had this vibrant energy and this feeling of connection as never before. She come over to our country, come to New Zealand, to my little bohemian island of Waiheke Island. We'll love you. Stay with my partner and my son. And I spent months there. And one day I was giving her a session at her home in Waiheke Island. And I remember this exact moment. I was stretching her neck. Our neck is, of course, our speech center through which our voice box is. We speak from that place, of course, in resonance with our entire being when we're totally connected. And at that moment in the session, she was getting a bit tearful while I was stretching her neck on the exhalations. And I had a feeling to ask her a question. Tell me, if you were to say right now what it is your deepest desire, what you'd like to become, what you'd like to move into in your life. She was a real estate agent back then. What would you do, be, and become? And she said, this will appeal to you. That's why I'm saying it to you, Gabby. Oh, I want to be a writer. I want to be a professional writer. Guess what happened? She became a professional writer and she
Wonderful.
entered the world of creativity, and it opened up a whole nuance of her ounce in her life. This has been my pathway for so long. I get tremendous joy, passion, pleasure, and I feel it's a sacred responsibility. I help people navigate the online screen these days to be able to put our points in very clear places. So when we choreograph our message, people remember it by going back to those same places on the online or physical platform or stage. But I have this beautiful feeling of fulfillment that happens when I tape people on this journey through their unknown to wake up what's underneath. One of my favorite quotes is a quote that is by a person called Calfried van Durkheim. And I carried this quote with me for over the last 50 years. In summarizing, basically says, the person who really being on the way does not turn to that person who encourages their old self to survive. Rather, they would seek out those people and forces that appear to be threatening their sense of self and what they've developed and who they thought they had to be up to now with total destruction. And by facing that which threatens to annihilate one's sense of identity, who they thought they were in this boxed in version of themselves, then, only then, can that which is indestructible arise from within. In this lies the dignity of daring. One must have the courage to constantly face those forces that threaten one with total annihilation. And then from this comes the dignity of being. And from this, from my understanding, then from facing the unknown, that which is deeply known in our consciousness about life itself emerges through one's thinking, speaking, and actions. So this has been a dedication, a lifelong dedication for me. And it's, like I said, a joy, a sacred responsibility. My ears are ringing right now, and a great feeling of fulfillment and fulfillment to have this as my most passionate, precious purpose in this life.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gary. That is so beautiful. We need more people like you in the world. And we just have a few minutes left
Yeah.
in this session. So I just wanted to ask you if there's a message that you could give the whole world, what that message would be.
The last thing I said, I want to piggyback on that. And that message is trust. The sensations in your body that connect you with this feeling of yes, where
Yes.
your telling is compelling, where you're able to awaken. If you have a choice in going this way or that way in your life, this life direction or that life direction, notice What sensations and locations in your body match? When I go here, I feel this: colors, sensations, texture, shape, form, smell, taste, sound, voice. And here I have this one. And you'll notice the body energy lifts up. There's a feeling of alertness. There's a feeling of fluidity that emerges when you're going on the path that is true to who you truly are. You are who you
Yeah.
truly are. I am true
We
who I
are,
truly.
yes.
I'll finish with this sentence. Say this sentence with me, everyone, either out loud or in your consciousness. The more I trust
The more I trust
what I deeply know,
what I deeply know,
the more my thoughts,
the more my thoughts,
my words,
my words,
and my actions
and my actions
fully, freely flow.
fully, freely flow. Thank you so
Hip
much.
hurrah! We want to add with hip hip hurrah,
Hip, hip,
feeling the
hurrah!
row, row, row. Your life is what we theme.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And I hope to see you and talk to you soon again and continue our conversation and journey in life.
It's lovely connecting with you, Gabby. Looking forward to that moment.